Jakeoutloud.
Worry about it, you forget, it's right there.
Jakeoutloud. And subscribe.
That's right. Yeah, but we'll do it at the end. You
Do it
can,
at the end.
how many years you been doing it?
A long time. I mean, I've been doing comedy all around for 30-ish years.
Really?
Yeah. But I stopped for a long time because I was living in Ottawa, and then I had a business, and I got married.
Yeah.
And I would just do
life
like
got in
once
the way.
life got in the way. I got married, and we did all that. But then with the divorce settlement and everything, I went back at it in 1998. So I've been working full time as
20 years.
22 years now.
Yeah.
So I could say honestly, full time 22
years.
22 years.
Okay, let's pull the middle out, squeeze them together.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So about 30-ish years.
How long was it? At what point do you realize you hit your stride and you're comfortable doing it? Like as a headliner.
It's funny. It was here in Montreal. It was 2005.
Yeah.
And what happened was 2005, 2006 JFL. And what happened was I got scouted here, and I ended up doing BBC World Stands Up in London.
Okay.
So went there, and when I came back, I lived in England for like over almost 2 years. So JFL brought me back for a show. At the time, it was called the Wise Guy Show.
Yes, I remember that.
Remember that? You don't have to be Italian to be a wise guy. Because I was Greek, so they didn't want...
Didn't Ernie Butler have something to do that?
Yeah, no, that was Paul Ronca.
Oh, okay.
It was Paul Ronca. They were doing it at the Metropolis.
Right.
And it was the Italian wise guys. So the whole idea was you don't have to be Italian to be a wise guy. So they put me in the program, if you look back, Angelo T. Now, Angelo, of course, I get Italian more than I get Greek, by the way, anywhere in the States or anywhere I go. And then working in England and doing the one-nighters in Newcastle and Manchester and Edinburgh and all these places, it made you work harder as a comic. So I felt like Stallone, like in Rocky III, when he's out with the logs in Russia. And then when I got to Montreal and to do the festival, it was something magic happened, and the whole thing came together. So for me, I think that's the impact. Yeah. And then I got scouted by CBS and Paramount for a sitcom. And that's when I decided it's time to go to LA. But it's funny because I think it hits different people, Jake, at different times. And for me, I think that was the pivoting moment. It was
right there.
Time to go to LA,
So I guess that London tour really helped your comedy. Now they do it. How different is it over there doing it than here? As far as setting up the show, stage.
They have really good shows in London, and you could be working every night. So I was living in London. I only went for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Excuse me, and then I ended up staying for almost 2 years. It was just a weird thing. I was living with a friend in South Kensington, and she was recently divorced. So I stayed with her. She had this beautiful flat. They were rich. And all the comments, how do you stay in it's like staying in Westmount, as an open micer.
Yeah.
And how do you stay here? And I go, exchange sexual favors for rent. The guys couldn't, but the truth of the matter is that I worked with an agent that gave me the visa, and he goes, I got a lot of work for you. They like you. And my first show ever in the UK was on Paramount Comedy Channel.
Right.
That was my first actual show. And they liked it so much that the Brits just jumped on it. So from there, I was doing shows in the Middle East, doing shows in Tokyo and Switzerland and Stockholm. I mean, it's weird.
Oh, you mean from there they send you all over the place?
Yeah, you go to different places, and they have the Brits because they do a lot of expat shows.
Yeah.
So for Americans, Canadians, British, Australians, and then it just from there it's so funny because I wasn't married at the time. I was single, and I was like, I'm here. I mean,
let's do it.
Yeah. Just do it. And I mean, sometimes the best advice is don't think it.
Don't think, just shoot.
Just do it.
Yeah. And Canadians, as a Canadian comedian over there, I'm sure you bumped into a few while you were there.
Right.
How has the audience received you? Do they mind? Does the MC say, there's a Canuck coming up or whatever?
Yeah, no, because we're like the colonies, right? So you got... Funny, where I lived after, and you had a lot of South Africans.
Yeah.
Kiwis, New Zealanders,
Yeah.
Australians. So when I lived in England, like Jim Jeffries was living there.
Oh yeah,
In Manchester,
fun. Yeah.
Jim's, and Jim was there, and you guys like Ben Hurley and Jared Christmas and all these other guys from the Kiwis. So you had like Craig Campbell, Sean Collins, Jason Rouse, great Canadian
I know
comedians.
Jason.
Mike
Yeah.
Wilmot, another
All
great,
those
great-
guys,
those
yeah.
guys are fantastic, and we were all there. So we were doing Edinburgh Festival, and I remember when I did the Edinburgh Festival, Dave Fulton, who's another great comic, he's from Seattle area, he's American, but Dave you always thought was Canadian. And I was there with Craig Campbell, Sean Collins, Jason Rouse, Mike Cliff, and I was roomies with Dave Fulton because we had the same agent off the curb. And it's funny how because there's like 2,000 shows going on at the same time, and then we'd hang out late at night, and I don't think we slept for a month.
Just go out.
In Scotland, it was just And then I remember one time we were in a bar in I think it was called Penny Black. It opened at midnight. It was one of those Scottish pubs.
Yeah.
And we're drinking, and some were there, and what happened was Scottish guys were giving us a bit of stink eye. And I mean, we're with Craig Campbell, Collins. These are all Scottish, Rouse and Tsarouchas, part of the clan. So I went up to the guy, and the guy's giving stink eye. And the Canadians, we like the scrap. Like, I mean, I never met most Canadian comics want to get into it.
Oh yeah.
So these guys were giving us stink. I'll never forget it. And I went over. I go, what's going on here? What's going on? The guy goes, what are you Yanks? Bunch of wanks, you Yanks. I go, we're not Yanks. We're from Canada. I said, hey, we fought together in the big war. Dude,
Yeah,
you want to
exactly.
fight with us? He goes, Canada. Well, why did you say so, you cunt? That's exactly what he said to me. And then they started buying us drinks.
I knew it.
I
knew it.
And so I'll never forget it. And the guys were ready to go. And I said, we're going to fight. There's like, how many Scottish descent live in Canada? So here I am. This comics, the statistician, all the stats start coming out. A lot of Scottish descent lives in Canada. Look at the names of everything. The color guard is the bagpipes. I mean, we grew up in school, God Save the Queen, even though Scots hate them, the Welsh hate them, going to British, to Northern Ireland. But we, as Canadians, we're knowledgeable. We know all this stuff.
That's right.
So that's what I think defines. I think people ask, why are Canadian comics so good overseas and in America? Yeah. Because we grew up with the best of the British and the best of America.
Americans. We got
We're
it all.
a mixture of it all. And then
That's right.
sprinkle a little bit of the French, which is they're more physical comedy.
Yeah,
I knew Michel Courtemanche back in the day. He was great. He did all those weird faces.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Remember Michel? But then he had stage fright, he told me. He didn't go on for a long time.
But they are very physical, yeah. And character driven.
Yeah, that's why they like Jerry Lewis all those
That's
years.
right, yeah.
Breaking the law.
3, 4.